Hello and welcome along to Mondo Chalavet Movies. My name is John and this video is going to be what I've watched in the month of June 2020. So the reason why I'm putting this out before the month ends is because towards the end of the month I'm going to be doing something quite special. Now I'm not going to tell you what that is at this moment, you'll find out in a forthcoming video. So I think what I've watched here is going to be what I've watched in the month of June. I might squeeze another one movie in, but I doubt it. So that's going to be coming up. So speaking of things coming up, I had my good friend John Hall come over the other day and we made two videos. Now we know the score. We usually get one where John comes over with some stuff and we go through the stuff that he's got, and we've got two videos of that. One's going to be some stuff he's brought over like Blu-rays, and the other's going to be Hong Kong DVDs. Now I know the last time John was over and he made a Hong Kong DVD video. That video went across really well and it got a lot of views. So as everybody knows, John Hall's knowledge of Asian cinema is just absolutely brilliant. And when he was talking about the movies that he brought over and the stuff he was talking about, the names, the directors, the stars, it's quite unbelievable that people can remember that, especially because they're all in Chinese. And yeah, so that's going to come up. So we got them two videos come up from John, and also I got an amazing subscriber mail from my good friend Gary Watson. Now when Gary sent me a box over of slipcovers, he sent me over a box of slipcovers. And some of the slipcovers in there are absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe what I was pulling out of this box. So what I'm going to do is I've filmed the box opening and it's lasting an hour and a half, believe it or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them up into three parts with a bit of editing. They might be a little bit shorter than half an hour each. And what I might do is I might put them all out on the same day. When I've done them fully, because I still need to sort of finish off the last one. When I do them fully, I will put them out probably in one day, maybe starting at the daytime, afternoon and then night time, and then you can see the whole lot. You can binge it if you want, so you can go back to it. I want to put them out in one day, and the stuff I've got from there, you want to see this, you won't believe what you've got, and I can't believe what Gary sent me. So once again, Gary, if you're watching this, I know Gary's on holiday at the minute, that's coming up, so there's plenty of things to look forward to. Also a video which I nearly completed but I had to go back and amend it, was a video on how many movies do I own on my shelves, how many is in the collection, and also how many of those have I actually watched. Now I've got the figures in front of us, but what I've had to do is I've had to amend the figures because I've had that much stuff through the post recently, so I've had to get the new figures together. So I'm looking forward to putting that video out. How many movies do I have on my shelves, how many movies have I not watched on my shelves, and also how much space do I have for forthcoming movies, how many more would I have till my shelves are completely full, and then more importantly, what am I going to do then? So keep an eye out for those videos coming up. So before I get into what I watched this month, the other day I went to HMV and I picked up some movies, some 4K movies in the sale. Now I was looking around, the two for £24, there was a couple in there I wanted, then two for £30, I thought, well, there's a couple in there. I noticed a couple in the 3 for £30 sale, and I thought, right. It's usually when you get the 3 for £30, it's very hard to find three of them, and I was struggling, but I did manage to find three here. Now the first one I bought was the one that I was kind of sitting on the fence with. I was between this and another one that I haven't seen, haven't watched, I haven't heard great things about this movie, the same about the other movie I was looking at, and I thought I need that extra title just to get these other ones at a reduced price, because the other ones I've seen have always been quite expensive. So the one I picked up, that was the one that was sort of to make the three up, was Pacific Rim Uprising. Now what I've done is I've checked all these out and I'll tell you exactly what they're like, but the only thing about this one is I can't tell you what it's like because it's still got that tab on. So when I was going to get this movie to look at, I noticed it's got one of them, and I thought I'm not going to even go there, because I think I did once try to get this thing off and I just mutilated the box and everything. So word of warning is, if you want to have a shot at that, don't even bother. That's my opinion. And this movie, the Pacific Rim, the first one, it looks absolutely spectacular on 4K. So I thought, well, this might have one of those sort of eye candy effects. Now I do know that it stars Scott Eastwood. I'm a big fan of Scott Eastwood. I think he's good in any movie I watched. He's not, I wouldn't say he's in the sort of the mainstream movies, and I think he should be a bit higher up in the ranks considering who his father is. But this one here was the one that I thought, well, to make up this 3 for £30, I can get this, I can check it out. If it's not that great, I can always get rid of it. But of course, I can't do anything till I go back to the shop and say to the fella, can you take this thing off us? So I can't exactly tell you what this movie's like. I would imagine if it looks anything like Pacific Rim, the first movie, it'd look astounding. And probably the sound on here as well is Dolby Atmos. Yes, Dolby Atmos. So this movie's a bit of a gamble, but it's a bit of a calculated gamble. So that's Pacific Rim Uprising. So next up are the two movies that I really wanted to pick up. First up is Arrival without a slip.
Where's my slip covers?
Now I knew this movie had never come with a slip, and I'd seen this on the shelves a lot of times, and I've been told that the 4K in here isn't such a massive upgrade on the Blu-ray. But when I watched it, I've got to admit that I thought I was pleasantly surprised with it. I thought the black levels were really good. This movie isn't colourful. It's more kind of like a drab looking movie, and by that I mean that the colour things in it, there's no like really bright colours in it. It seems to be very sort of dark and greys and browns, but it was very clear, very crisp. I'm looking forward to watching this movie because I put it off a few times. It stars Amy Adams, who I'm a big fan of, and because it hasn't got a slip, I had to turn to my good friend Michael Hewitt, who sent me a slip for Arrival. So as I said on a previous video, if ever saw Arrival for a cheaper price, well, this is £10, you can't grumble at that, I will upgrade the Blu-ray to a 4K. So I don't know a great deal about this movie, but I do know it's directed by Denis Villeneuve, who directed Dune and also Blade Runner 2049. So I've got every feeling that this movie will look spectacular. I'm really interested to check it out. I think it's probably got a long running time. It's only 160 minutes, that's doable. That's not like a 3-hour epic. So once again, thanks to Michael Hewitt for supplying me the slip for that. That's Arrival. So the movie I was most after in here was a movie that I keep looking at, and it's always been full price. It's never come down in price. So I'm thinking when it gets in the 2 for £30 sale, I will pounce on it. Hopefully it'll come down very cheap than that. When I saw it for £3 for £30, I thought, I don't believe it. So I instantly picked it up. It is Mulholland Drive. I was really surprised to see this in the 3 for £30 sale. Now I'm only guessing. There's my son coming in. Got a shot there. So I'm only guessing that this just wasn't a big seller on 4K. I think the two that they've had in there have just been the two that I've always seen in there. I don't know why. This movie is spectacular, although it's not for everybody. It's very strange. It's like a movie of two halves. Now, I've been a big fan of this movie ever since I saw it. It was one of the later ones that I saw for David Lynch, and I don't understand it fully, which I don't mind because there's David Lynch you don't expect to understand fully. This has got possibly one of the best jump scares ever in a movie, and I'm not going to say any more than that. But the first bit I watched of the film when I checked it out in 4K was that scene, because it's a scene, it's spectacular itself. And I still don't know why it's in there, but it is in there. There's a lot of this movie I don't understand, as I keep saying, but I don't really feel like I've got to understand it. I just think with David Lynch, you just leave a lot to his imagination and you just run with it. So I've always been told that the picture quality on this isn't a massive jump from the Blu-ray. Now, that put me off getting it at full price. I have got the Blu-ray. It's a remastered 4K Blu-ray, which looks pretty good. And I was expecting this one to be a bit of an upgrade, but I was pleasantly surprised. I think that the upgrade on this is quite good. It's not huge, but it's good enough to know that this is a 4K. You're looking at a 4K. It's not as if it just looks like a sort of nice looking Blu-ray. The colours in here is a very colourful movie at times. It's a very dark movie at times, and by that I mean dark in what the content is, and also the way it looks. So at night, there's a lot of nighttime scenes, and they look absolutely spectacular. So for me, this is a good upgrade. If you can, especially for £30. If you're a fan of this movie or this director, you will love what you're looking at here. I missed out on the big special edition that sold out more or less instantly. I was tempted, but then again, when I thought it's not so much of a great upgrade. So to be honest, when I've looked at it now, I wish I had went for the big box set, but it doesn't really matter. I've still got the movie. I do think, because David Lynch has got an eye for cinema, that most of his movies will look spectacular on 4K. So that's Mulholland Drive. Alright, I've just finished off this video, alright. So also when I was mooching around the shelves, I did spy this for $9.99. It is Rambo, Last Blood. Now, Martin Geary had sent me in a subscriber mail recently. He sent me the Rambo trilogy, so I thought, right, I'm going to go and get the other two. And when I saw this for £9, £9.99, I thought, yep, it's got to be an instant purchase. All I need now is part 4, or Rambo. It gets confusing, doesn't it? So this has got an absolutely brilliant slipcase. There's a big difference in Rambo's face from the first one, or maybe that's the second or third one, to this one. But, you know, that's life. And I'm interested in seeing 4 and 5 because I have watched these and I do enjoy them. I think I enjoy the first one the best. And I wanted to get this, the spot gloss in there. I did want to get this one, obviously, and the part 4. I know the part 4 has been cut in the UK. I think it's still cut. It might not be. I might have to go and get it from somewhere else. That's still to be decided. So I switched this on and just thought, what does it look like in 4K? And I think it looks absolutely spectacular. It's Dolby Atmos as well. I don't know what the movie's like. I would imagine it's not as good as these ones, but it is what it is. And just the fact that he's still making movies these days is quite incredible. So in the scenes I checked out in this movie, which is mainly daytime at the start of the movie, it looks absolutely, the colours are amazing. It's pin sharp. So this is a very good 4K. And interested to see this whole franchise when I do get part 4. That's Rambo, Last Blood. So what have I watched in the month of June? Well, if I'm honest, I haven't watched that many movies. That's why I've sort of fleshed this out with some pickups. So first up, and I talked about this on a separate video, we watched Back to the Future. Now, I haven't watched the other two. It's just trying to get the shifts together to watch these ones. We haven't had that many time to sort of get together to watch some movies this month in the house. So this movie looks spectacular and sounds spectacular. It's an absolutely brilliant movie. I did see part 2 before I saw part 1. Actually, I saw part 2 and 3 before I saw part 1, believe it or not. So what can I say that hasn't been said about this trilogy? This trilogy is perfection. And I do think that it should never be touched. It should just be left alone, and it should be never remade because it is just perfect. The casting, everything about it is brilliant. And the picture quality on part 1, and I do know that the other ones will look probably just as good. It looks sensational. So for me, this is an instant pickup. If you're into Back to the Future, get it in 4K if you can, and you will be bowled over by it. And I can't wait to watch part 2 and 3. That's Back to the Future. Next up, again, I've talked about this movie in a separate video. I watched Citizen Kane. Now, as you know, probably most people have heard about Citizen Kane, and they probably think it's a bit, it's one of those movies where you've got to be, I don't know, it's just not going to connect with anybody. It's not going to be interesting. It's not going to be one of those ones that like kind of goes over to this like generation now, and it's going to be something that's so boring. It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be a political sort of mess. It's far from it. This movie for me is absolutely spectacular. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. I never thought I would say that. I thought I'd put it on, I would watch it and I'd say, well, it was all right. It's a technical masterpiece, and that's probably it. I'm glad I've seen it for the way that we were able to do some shots in this movie. But on reflection, when I was watching it, I couldn't believe how good this movie was. And the whole Rosebud, his last words, what does it mean? How they try and go and find out in the whole movie about this whole Rosebud. What is it? And I was so engaged with that. I didn't think I would be. I thought it was one of those lines as a bit of a throwaway thing. I didn't realise it's a thread that runs through the whole movie where they have to find out, or this person, who you never really see his face, you only see him from behind, is sort of going into his life of Citizen Kane. I think adding the word citizen to this movie kind of puts a lot of people off. I think it put me off in a way. I thought that, oh, this is going to be really hyper political, and it's going to be something I'm never going to connect with. It's going to be something that's got nothing in common with what I think. But far from it. Forget the word citizen, and it's just dealing with this bloke's life. He's someone who is in newspapers. He's like a mogul. He's got like probably one of the richest people in the world, and it's all about that. It's like a drama about that. And as a comedy in a way, I would find myself laughing at quite a few things in here. This presentation is absolutely stunning as well. If you can get it in 4K, I do recommend it. Currently, I think it's in the 2 for £24 sale. It's thoroughly worth it. This one here, it's got the slipcover in it. I didn't realise it would have the slipcover with it as well. I just thought it would have the Amaray case, but it's got everything going for it. I picked this up for a song in CX, so highly recommended this version, and also highly recommended for the film. I didn't think I would ever say that when I first started watching it. I thought I would put it on and say I've seen it, it's all right, or it wasn't that good, and that's about it. But I can't actually wait to watch this again. That's Citizen Kane. Next up at the cinema, me and the Debs watched Top Gun Maverick. This movie is sensational. It's one of the best movies I've seen at the cinema. I didn't get into the whole Top Gun thing till late. I only saw Top Gun last year for the first time, and I thought it was okay. I thought it was very cheesy. This one's very cheesy, but I think it works. I think if this wasn't like kind of had 80 throwback cheese in it, it wouldn't have been the same movie. I think some of the lines in here are very corny. I think some of the action in here is very corny. But the flying sequences in here are just, you can't believe it. You can't believe that Tom Cruise is actually doing it, and he does do it for real life. You know, he's got these crazy stunts he puts in his movies. I think a lot of people don't really realise how dangerous the things he does on here, and how he does it, I don't know. The fact he's flying these planes at supersonic speeds is just unbelievable. We really enjoyed it. Yes, it's got a lot of throwbacks to the first film. It's got a lot of sort of emotional scenes in it. But I think as a movie, it's got everything you could possibly want to watch in a movie. It's so thrilling. It's so well done. It's so well acted. And Tom Cruise these days is someone that we would like to go to the pictures to see, as opposed to thinking, oh God, Tom Cruise in this movie, we're not going to go and see that one. So highly, highly, highly recommended. That's Top Gun Maverick. Next up, again at the cinema, we watched Jurassic World Dominion. Now, I'd heard some mixed reports about this. I'd heard some reports that it was just not a good film at all. I heard some reports that it was really good. So I went in thinking, well, it could be the worst one I've seen of these ones, but it is what it is. It is the finale of this 6-movie that spanned like since 1993. And I tell you what, to be honest, when I first started it, I thought, man, where's this going? It seemed to go a little bit weird. It seemed to go a bit more like espionage and a bit sort of Mission Impossible in a way. But it came full circle, and I do think that the second half of the movie is better than the first half. But even the sort of bit where they're talking about, this trying to get this stuff that they're trying to get, this fella's trying to get. I didn't realise he was in the first film, although he was a different actor. But the main bad guy from this movie was actually in Jurassic Park. Can you believe it? Although he played a very small role in it. He was a fellow who come with that can, and he gave it to the big bloke who got the stuff spat in his face. He was actually that man, so he's quite a throwback, which I didn't realise until I saw a YouTube video. But I do think that this movie was, we had a great time with it actually when we come out. I said, what do you think of that? To the Debs, and she said, I thought it was really good actually. Yes, it's 2.5 hours long. Actually, it's flown over, and I think the fact they've got all the cast in here, and I think this movie comes, like I say, full circle. It's a good ending to the Jurassic World franchise. Will they do another one? Will they do Triassic World or Cretaceous World? As everyone knows, if you're a dinosaur geek like I am, the Tyrannosaurus Rex came from the Cretaceous period, not Jurassic period. The Jurassic World didn't have as many dinosaurs in it. I know the dinosaurs in here seem to be half made up. Some of them want to get this, gigantic, mega, huge saurus, and you think, well, what's that? I've never heard of that before, but never mind. I do think this movie's much better than a lot of people would say it is, and it is what it is. It's a bit long. It might have that sort of thread running through that you might not appreciate, but I found it was a decent one, and it tied up a lot of loose ends in this movie as well. So I think it was quite one of those ones where you thought, well, actually, at one point, we weren't going to go and see it. We were going to say ditch it and go and see something else. The only other thing to see was Lightyear, so we didn't really want to do that. So we just said, right, we'll go and see this. But I really was glad that we did. So that's Jurassic World Dominion. Next up, I watched Demented. Now, this movie came as a subscriber mail from my good friend Nige, otherwise known as Rockgod2004. I'll leave a link down to his channel down below. Now, me and Nige are going to be doing a live stream to do with video nasties. We're probably going to do like a series of them. We're just sort of ironing out the details at the moment, and I can't wait to get started on that. Now, Nige is a very fun guy to talk to, so this is going to be what I consider to be a really good fun live stream, and especially if you're into nasties, you'll love this one. So Nige has sent me this copy over to watch, and it was sealed when I got it. Now, this is on the section 3 video nasties list, which means that if it was seen in the cinema, if it was seen in the VHS store, they could take it out if they wanted to. By they, I mean the police. And the movie itself, I wouldn't say it's very gory. So this movie came out in 1980, and it's like, you can liken it a little bit to I Spit in Your Grave, although it's not really the same for me. But what happens is that this girl here is attacked at the start of the movie by a gang, and she sort of flips. And she thinks there's a group of kids in the neighbourhood who are going around wearing masks and sort of terrorising people. But that's all they're doing. They're just sort of just being annoying. And she thinks that these are the same people. So she exacts her revenge on them. And it's a great movie. It's a great movie because it's so kind of like bad, but bad in a good way. There's a lot of good stuff in here actually. I really found myself enjoying this woman's performance. The fact of her sort of being crazy and talking in a really strange little voice, like a sort of kid's voice, which was like unbelievable. And the whole scene where she's sort of getting a revenge on these people who keep saying that we're not these people, it's got nothing to do with us, but you won't hear this. She's got this twisted sort of view on reality. But I really enjoyed this, and this is from Scream Factory, and also the picture quality in here is stunning. It's one of those ones where, especially at dark, with like at dusk, it's got one of those things where you think, oh, this is really, what a nice picture quality this is. Much better than I thought it was going to be. It's not got a speck of dirt on it. It's one of the best ones I've seen, actually. Well, you know, Shout Factory, they always tend to put out ones that are just like really good. This is highly recommended if you want to get one that's from this the band video list. And I can't even remember this being released in the UK. If it was, it might have a different title. But I want to thank Nigel once again for sending this to me, and also I had such a great time with it. I can highly recommend this. This is one of the best video nasties I've watched in recent times. That's Demented. So next up at the cinema, we watched Top Gun Maverick. Yes, we went back and watched it again. Just had such a good time with it, and we just wanted to see it again. It was just one of those ones where we haven't saw it in IMAX, unfortunately. I would like to have had an IMAX viewing. Didn't get around to it. Missed the boat on that one. But this, as I said previously, this movie is by far the best movie I've seen in the cinema for a long time, and I can't recommend it highly enough. It'd be day one purchase for me on 4K because it looked spectacular at the cinema. So of course this is going to be my recommendation for the month. That's Top Gun Maverick. So lastly, I watched Doctor Who and the Daleks on 4K. Now this movie has got nothing really to do with the TV series. I think they had just got the rights of rights off the BBC to say, look, can we make 3 films? They never got the 3rd one made because these two, this one and the next one, Daleks Invasion of the Earth, they weren't big hits, so they stopped making them. Now this one here is a one that I remember seeing these and the other one back in the day, and I really enjoyed them, even though I couldn't understand why is Doctor Who not Doctor Who, because in this movie he's just like a sort of inventor who invented a time machine, which they call TARDIS. They never call it the TARDIS, they call it TARDIS, which sounds a bit odd when people say, Doctor, where's TARDIS? Or are you going to TARDIS? Also as well, they always call him Doctor Who, they don't call him the Doctor, which is a bit odd when you're used to people calling people the Doctor. Well, Doctor Who, the Doctor. Anyway, the movie itself is, I would say it's aimed more for the kids. It seems to come across like a kids movie. I don't think that it comes across like in the Doctor Who, as I know Doctor Who in the TV series, it doesn't seem to have the same feel as that. It just comes across like maybe like more like a kids movie. That's not taking anything away from it. I had a really good time with it. The picture quality in here looks stunning. I've had a time, obviously, when I looked through the whole lot to see what I think of it, because I've only seen parts when I was talking about on my previous unboxing, which I'll leave a link to down below, because if you want to see what's inside this, because this set is spectacular. Yeah, it's quite expensive, but it's worth it, because all the stuff you get in here is just amazing. As a collector, you would love it. So the sound on here, actually, it's only 2.0 stereo, but it comes across really well. And the colours in here are the star, actually. It's so bright. I think when it's made in Technicolor, and you're used to seeing it on the TV in black and white, you would say, oh. But this colour version, maybe it was when people saw it, although it didn't do very well at the cinema, unfortunately. But don't forget, Doctor Who had only been out 2 years before this got put out. That it kind of flopped in a way. But I do think that this movie, you've got Roy Castle in here, who's sort of like the comedic part of this movie when he's sort of doing all these pratfalls and daft stuff. It's quite funny, actually. And Peter Cushing, he comes across like a different, it's like, you would think he's like William Hartnell character, but he's not really like the William Hartnell character. He's got like a different persona. But like I say, he's just a regular fella who's just invented this time machine. But do know that this movie is more aimed towards kids than probably adults. I think you get more stuff out of the TV series in an adult fashion as you do with this one being like a kids movie. But I think that when they started off the Doctor Who series, that was aimed at kids as well. But obviously it's aimed at kids, aimed at frightening kids. But this one here is highly, highly recommended, and I'm so glad I've seen it. And the colours, there's a forest in here, like a petrified forest, where they've got like greens, and they've also got like purples and stuff, but the greens and the purples just stand out. I've never seen nothing like it. It's absolutely sensational. So as a colour presentation, and it's pretty sharp, not sharp in every scene, but sharp in, there's some scenes where you're seeing the skin textures where the cameras go up closer. It just looks unbelievable. Don't forget this movie's from 1965. I watched a special feature on here that tells you about the restoration of this movie, and they've done a painstaking restoration on it. They've really went to town on it. There's not a speck of dirt on this movie. It's just the best, well, it is the best it's ever going to look. And if you're a fan of this movie or Doctor Who, I can imagine you're having a really good time with it. If you can't track this one down, great. It is out in the steelbook version as well. I do think that this movie and the other movie do get sort of forgotten about in the Doctor Who world. but I think they're really good fun watches. I had a great time in this movie. There's some great little scenes in here, and the action in the Daleks as well was absolutely brilliant. The special effects were a bit hokey, but who cares? It's Doctor Who. That's what you expect. If you can, get yourself across to the cinema to go and see Top Gun Maverick and have a blast with it like we did. So, thanks for watching, you take care, and I will see you on the next video. Cheers.
Chicken! 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 Chicken!